Let's travel back to 2007, where Hasbro was celebrating the 30th anniversary of Star Wars. And to commemorate the 30th anniversary, they wanted to commemorate not only the man that basically invented the entire visual atmosphere and design of the franchise, but also those designs. There was the Ralph McQuarrie Concept Collection. And this collection is absolutely fantastic. There are a couple figures in this that are a little further along in that collection, like say the IG-88. I almost called him IG-11. I mean, IG-11 is more of a character, but the IG-88 was released further on. This was a Patreon request from Clone Commander Last Laugh. He requested that I talk about just concept figures, and this is basically the other concept figures I haven't talked about. I have done a whole video on the Imperial ones that also did include the original color version of the Stormtrooper, as well as the Joe Johnson Snowtrooper, but I'm just focusing on the Ralph McQuarrie Concept Original Trilogy figures. There have been other toys and other figures that have been released that are Ralph McQuarrie concept art, but this is the specific 30th anniversary kind of collection of them. There's plenty others that are really cool, like say the Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, just that whole thing. A lot of that stuff is based off of McQuarrie concept. But Ralph McQuarrie, as we can see right here, was the artist that really made the visual style of Star Wars. And as you can see, many of these designs are fairly similar to what we did see in the movies, but some of them are drastic departures from what we ended up seeing. So, I also have to thank not only Last Laugh for requesting this video, but also Evan. Evan is a very generous fan of the channel that basically gave me all of these. He gave me all of these in a P.O. Box unboxing, and I am eternally grateful to Evan for completing this collection for me that I otherwise did not. I basically only had the Imperials, and having duplicates of those also allows to have others displayed with some of the alternate accessories, which I will show you. But special thanks to Evan for gifting these to me. I absolutely did not deserve it, but as a thanks to you, as well as a thanks to Last Laugh for being a patron, I'm making this video. So, Ralph McQuarrie then. This wasn't really a part of the collection. There goes IG-88. This wasn't really a part of the collection as much as it was just them making a figure of Ralph McQuarrie because he deserves it. But this was actually his cameo. He cameoed in The Empire Strikes Back as a Hoth rebel, and this is his figure. I think it's called like General McQuarrie, something like that. They basically preserved his name. And this is a really nice figure. Now, granted, it is 30th anniversary collection, so you do have swivel elbows, swivel shoulders, swivel. It's basically all swivels. That's all it is. But still, you do have a helmet as well you can put on him. And you do kind of disguise some of his facial features. Let's say if you end up with multiples of this figure, you can have one with and one without. So that's kind of cool. That's actually a very nice likeness to Ralph McQuarrie right there. That is a very good likeness. So personally, I love having this displayed along with the entire collection because, come on, it's him. It's Ralph McQuarrie. He is the guy that designed Darth Vader. I mean, come on. So, you may have already seen the Black Series is actually doing a little bit of a commemoration to these art styles as well, with an Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader 2-pack. Now, unfortunately, it's modern Hasbro. They're simple retools of the pre-existing figures, but Hasbro back in 2007, I can tell you, all of these are entirely unique sculpts. I'm pretty sure all of them are entirely unique for this line because they cared about the concept art and they wanted to make sure they captured every detail of it instead of just like, oh, it's a blue Darth Vader with a weird looking helmet. No, this Darth Vader is entirely different from head to toe than any other Darth Vader you can get. This is the concept of Darth Vader. I won't go about talking about the Imperial ones as much because I have done a whole video in the Storm Central series discussing these concept Imperials, but I will discuss them briefly here at the start. So the Darth Vader is absolutely awesome. The heads are amazing. I personally prefer this helmet because I think this one just looks as drastically different from the normal Vader as possible. But I really do love the alternate helmet as well. You can see it's a little closer to what we ended up seeing, but it's also very angular and evil looking. And you can see the subtle differences of the armor. It's very similar to what we ended up seeing, but it's very subtle. Darth Vader's design, you can see the shoulder pads are more angular. His design didn't change too much. One thing that changed, though, he didn't end up with a blaster on his hip. So that's actually a really cool little detail there, was that he was going to have a blaster on his hip. Very cool figure. A little communicator on the wrist there. A blue lightsaber, which is interesting. So yeah, this Darth Vader is absolutely awesome. Seriously love that one. If you want to see more in-depth detail, like, say, the articulation and everything, like I said, check out that Storm Central I did discussing the Imperial figures. Another one that is actually an Imperial is Boba Fett, because Boba Fett was originally conceptualized as being an Imperial super commando, but they decided to make him a bounty hunter further along. He also comes with 2 helmets. I prefer this one because, yet again, it is the more unique of the 2. This helmet design is also reused for the likes of, say, Reiko Hardeen in the Clone Wars series. But you can see this is what the more traditional Boba Fett looking helmet looks like. This one's really cool. It has a lot of hidden features, one of them being like a little belly cannon, if I can get to that. So maybe he was supposed to be like an android or something? Like he was supposed to be like a cyborg, because he has like a little belly cannon in there, which is pretty cool. He does have pretty unique weapons as well. Pretty unique blaster, and he does have this flamethrower. Really like the uniqueness of the backpack. This is a very cool design for Boba Fett. That is a very cool figure right there. Definitely one of my favorites of this whole collection. Another one that I actually really like, and I'm proud to say I'm starting to build a little bit of an army of, is the standard Stormtrooper. Now this design also may look familiar because this is what the TK Troopers kind of look like in Star Wars The Bad Batch, which is super cool. It's super cool to see that the very first TK Stormtroopers, their design, especially the helmet, is heavily drawn from the original Ralph McQuarrie design. So yeah, you can see there's some pretty drastic differences from what you would expect from a normal Stormtrooper. Number 1, he's got a shield. Number 2, he has a freaking lightsaber. So I guess lightsabers were going to be more common weapons, given how, you know, a couple characters here have lightsabers. You normally wouldn't expect to have lightsabers. Yeah, I guess lightsabers were more common. Apparently they're all going to be blue too. We'll talk about Luke a little later. But yeah, he also has a gun, which you can pull out, and it's the holster's huge for that gun. I don't know why it's that big, but you have a gun with a nice little silver band right there. I feel like it's not even in focus. Come on. We're trying to talk about this Stormtrooper here. I love the design. It's so cool. This is actually a repaint of an older figure, so his articulation's a lot less, but it's just so iconic to me. Absolutely love that figure. And last but not least, from the Imperials, we have the Snowtrooper. Let's try to yank him out. One thing about 3 3/4 inch figures, man, they fall so easily. So this one, yet again, is another one of those characters where I'm sure you've seen the design in actual Star Wars canon. This helmet has inspired several helmets. It has inspired the training cadet helmet, the combat driver. It's inspired the like extreme condition armor for like Commander Wolf. We'll see in a minute. It has an additional piece that inspired the Flame Troopers from Fallen Order. It's a helmet that has been used a lot in actual Star Wars canon, so it's cool to see this design given a new life. He has 3 fingered gloves there, which is kind of cool. Kind of gives the design of like, oh yeah, you know, since he is in cold climate, maybe keeping his fingers more clumped would keep his hands warmer. Overall, the design's really cool. I love the gun too. It almost looks like a blunderbuss of some sort. I really like that gun. I love the little like text on his helmet. I have no idea what it's supposed to represent or say, but I've always really loved that. And like I said, he does have an additional piece. We do have this mouth cover right here, and now you can see it looks a lot like the Flame Troopers from Jedi Fallen Order. I think this is a very cool alternate look. I mean, come on, look at that. That's sweet. I personally prefer it with this, but since I do have 2 of this figure, I do like having one with, one without. So that's a really cool one. All right, so 10 minutes in, and we've only talked about the figures I've already talked about, so this is going to be quite a video. So, he already fell, so let's just talk about him. This is IG-88. Again, you may recognize this design because this was also utilized in Star Wars Rebels, and I believe the unit number for the Rebels one was like RQ something, Ralph McQuarrie. So I think it's super cool. This is actually a figure that was not released in the 30th anniversary collection, but rather the Legacy collection. My camera keeps wanting to focus in on Starkiller Hero's face instead of IG-88, so let's fix that. Yeah, IG-88's design's super cool in the concept. Honestly, I prefer it over what was actually in the movie. That's just me, though. And I think this figure just looks so cool. I mean, come on, look at this. It has the same energy as IG-88. I think they probably would have wanted to go with this design, but they probably were so rushed on time that they threw together. They were like, oh, we can't even design a new head, so let's just grab one of those things that was on the... I think it's like some sort of car part, isn't it? IG-88's head, but it was also used for the cantina, like the drink dispensers. But I think it's a car part for his head. So yeah, maybe they wanted to go with this, but they couldn't afford it. So they just kind of improvised. But I love this design. I love the wiring you can see. This is a design where you could kind of see someone maybe in a costume to an extent, but then you see how skinny the legs are, and you're like, I'm not so sure. But yeah, since I haven't really talked about this one in a review yet, he's got really nice articulation. Since he is a later figure, he actually does have more articulation than many of the others. Doesn't want to move those knees. I don't want to risk that. But yeah, he's got pretty standard articulation from what you would expect from a Star Wars figure back in 2008. And he does have holsters for the guns, too, which I think is super cool. So you can kind of like slide those in. His articulation is good enough, too. He looks like he's drawing them out. This is one of my favorites of this whole collection. Even though it is kind of a later edition, it was kind of an afterthought, but still, I think it's really nice. So, let's get on to the heroes, because there are a lot of heroes, and some of them aren't really who you would expect them to be, so that's pretty cool. So, Chewbacca. So, Chewbacca's design I always thought was creepy as all hell, but I absolutely love it. He just has this weird, like, Nosferatu look to his face. He just looks like some weird vampire, like, bat, Bigfoot creature. He's got that big upturned nose and the big old ears and the big old eyes. He's very furry, too. I would say the body's very similar to what we ended up seeing with Chewbacca. He does have this big old blaster, which I love. And again, he has a pistol in his holster. Let's get that out. Dude, look at the subtle paintwork. Number one, that actually looks a lot like an E11 blaster, which is really cool. But look at the subtle paintwork. All the little dots all over the costume. You can tell they really cared about replicating the artwork. That was their priority, and I think they did a great job. So again, you may recognize this design. Zeb from Rebels was actually basically drawn from this concept Chewbacca design. They changed his color up a bit. They changed a couple design elements of the character. But overall, you can look at this and you're like, yeah, that looks a lot like Zeb's species. And it kind of does. So yeah, this Chewbacca is really nice. His articulation, again, because he is a 2007 figure, he only has like swivels at the shoulders. He does have ball hinges at the elbows, though, which is really nice. Swivels at the wrist, swivels at the waist, swivel at the hip, ball hinge at the knee, and swivel. Actually, no, he has a hinge too at the boot. It's just very well hidden. I'm actually surprised you can hardly even notice that. But yeah, really awesome figure in Chewbacca. He's actually one of my favorites of this collection. So let's set Chewie in the back there where he belongs because he is the tallest of them. You can see he's very, very tall. He's huge. So let's skip Luke in the middle and let's talk about Starkiller Hero because this is an interesting one. So Luke was originally concepted to have the name of Starkiller, as well as the fact as there was a point where Luke was going to be a girl. And I almost feel like this character is almost an amalgamation of Luke and Leia as one character. You can see she has like this gas mask, which is really cool if you get it over her face. Let's see if I can do that. Because, I mean, it was Star Wars, so the concept was like these characters actually have to go out into space. The reason Vader has a helmet in the first place was because he was supposed to seriously jump from the Star Destroyer to the Tantive 4. Like, I'm pretty sure that's why he has the helmet. They decided to rewrite that and give it to him for different reasons. You can also remove the headgear on her. It's a little hard because I think there's the chin strap. So let's see if we can get the headgear removed kind of easily here. We'll just peel it back a little bit. You can see hairstyle is kind of blonde, kind of like how Luke ended up. This figure is really nice. It has a lot of little gear on it. Like it has this gear on the chest. It does have a little blaster. I really like the blue coloring too. I actually really like the costume design. Now this costume and this character design, I'm not really sure if it was used anywhere else. It might have been in Rebels at some point, but I really do like it. Again, has a lightsaber. Kind of struggles to hold it though, but yeah, she is really cool. And this is probably one of the only ones that isn't directly like a character that we know. You know, Starkiller Hero. It's like, who's Starkiller Hero? Well, it was kind of Luke, kind of Leia. Speaking of kinda, here is... there goes Chewie. Here is Han Solo. You may be thinking, that looks more like Obi-Wan, and you'd be right. Because the character of Han Solo from the concept was actually kind of serving both roles of Obi-Wan and Han. So yeah, Han Solo here is kind of playing double duty. So not only is he a smuggler, but he's also like a Jedi Master. Again, he's got a lightsaber, really cool. He does have a blaster too. I really like his head. You can tell the costume design actually really matches with Starkiller Hero, and I really like that. I like the bearded look. It honestly looks nothing like Han Solo from the waist up. Waist down, though, you're starting to see some of like the scoundreliness. Got some pouches that are very nicely painted. He's got, you know, the holster. He just kind of looks like a rough and tough guy. He's got a big old cape, too, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, I really love the Han Solo concept. Looks nothing like what we ended up getting. He has pretty standard 3 3/4 inch articulation. He's got a ball joint, ball hinge, swivel, 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 ball hinge, and nothing at the ankle, I think, on this one. But yeah, he's so nice. Man, Han Solo, he's a cool one. He's probably one of my least favorite of this whole collection, just because I don't feel like he deviates as much. He's not as drastic of a change. Probably one of my least favorite, even though I still love it, is this Luke Skywalker, because if I'm not mistaken, this is actually a concept from Empire, or at least a concept of Luke when he would duel Darth Vader, because I know the art that this is taken from is Luke versus Vader. And you can see his mask looks a lot like Darth Vader's. It basically looks identical, which is kind of funny. But if we take this off, sort of, it's attached to the backpack as well as the head. There goes Starkiller Hero. Man, these 3 3/4 inch figures, I love them, but they do not stay up. Well, someday I'll have them all on display bases, but man, this is such a pain. If we wrestle this mask off, we can actually see that this figure does have a likeness to Mark Hamill. So I'm assuming this is like an Empire Strikes Back concept where like, oh yeah, we already know what, you know, the Mark Hamill's playing Luke, you know, will, you know, make it look like Mark Hamill. So I think that's actually pretty cool. You can tell that's Mark. He does have a green saber for some reason. Again, he's got a blaster, which is pretty neat. Now, his legs, I feel like, might be reused from somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. They do have very similar pinstriping to like a Han Solo type character. But for all I know, they are, you know, unique pants. They probably are, given how all the other figures are unique sculpts. He has pretty basic articulation. I think he might be missing like a lightsaber, either that or I think you can take the blade off. That's what it is. You can take the blade off and put the hilt right there. He's got pretty basic articulation, nothing too out of the ordinary, except he does have swivel elbows instead of what we kind of expect nowadays. But I personally really love keeping him with the mask on, because even though he is one of my least favorites, because he doesn't really do a lot that's super new or unique, because he's Luke, you know, you can tell it is Luke. It doesn't look totally different. It's still so cool that he has like this Darth Vader looking mask. I just think it looks so sweet. So there's Luke right there. And let's fix Starkiller Hero, because we're almost done here. 20 minutes in, and we only have like 5 more to talk about. So let's put that up, and let's talk about Obi-Wan. So this is one that's going to get a Black Series treatment. But this Obi-Wan, you can see, is pretty traditional to what we would expect from Obi-Wan. You can see the lightsaber is pretty similar to actual Obi-Wan's lightsaber. I'm pretty sure that's the one he came with. I just kept the lightsaber that Evan gave me. I do apologize if that's not the saber he's supposed to have. But yeah, I think this is a later figure because he actually does have a little bit more, you know, I think he was 30th anniversary still. He just kind of feels more premium than the rest. Something about him. He's got like this big old soft goods cloak. Here, let's see if I can find the date. Yeah, he's 2007, so he's the same as the rest. But something about him, maybe it's like the robes. I love the blue too. Obi-Wan with a blue robe. It just looks so nice. This blue and this white. I love it in the fabric. And there are legs underneath. I really love the boot design. Unfortunately, there are no knees. There's no knee articulation, but you do have ankles. So you can still pose him around a little bit. He is just so cool looking. I love the head too. Looks nothing like Alec Guinness. But you can kind of tell it's supposed to be Obi-Wan in a way. I really like it. I guess it's Hank Schrader if he became a Jedi. So there is the Obi-Wan figure. Love this one. So cool. And Obi-Wan actually came packed with somebody, if I can get him standing up. Pretty sure Obi-Wan came with Yoda. So Yoda is obviously Empire Strikes Back. He is not an original Star Wars film character. But this Yoda, you can see, is a pretty interesting design, if it'll get in focus. Is he just too tiny for the camera? No, there he is. So yeah, he looks very odd. He kind of looks like Smeagol. He's got a lot more hair than he normally does. But you can see the core of what Yoda would be is there. He's green, he's got the big old ears, he looks very old. He actually has a lot of articulation for being such a little guy. Ball hinge and swivel, ball joint. Swivel at the waist, I'm pretty sure. He's got his little cane, and we can see if we move up his skirt, he's got these really weird, like, goblin legs with these big old feet. He looks so odd. But I do like how he also has the tattered look to the tunic. It does make him look like he is on Dagobah. Honestly, from, you know, not looking at the head or the feet, it does look a lot like just normal Yoda. I really do like this one. I just think it's so cool that we have a figure of the weird little concept Yoda. Man, some of the other Yoda concept art looked even weirder than this. So just a few left. Next up, we have C-3PO. And I always thought C-3PO's concept design was super cool. He looks straight out of like a 1940s or 1950s sci-fi serial. He just looks so much like one of those robots. I love his face. His face just looks so cool. It almost looks human in a way. And I love how smooth the armor plating is. This one doesn't have a lot of articulation, but he honestly doesn't need it. At the end of the day, you just want these standing on your shelf, kind of replicating the poster. He has swivels at the shoulders, swivels at the hips, nothing at the knees, ball joints at the ankles, ball joint, ball joint. It's like you can get some decent articulation, but not a lot. This is one of my favorite C-3POs in my collection because it's so unique. Come on, man, you can't even tell that's C-3PO, but you can. That's the cool thing about some of these concept figures. Like, oh, who's that supposed to be? Oh, it's C-3PO. I thought it was something from like Flash Gordon or something. Yeah, this is really awesome. You know, he almost looks like something that'd be in like Flash Gordon or Buck Rogers, but no, it's C-3PO. And he came with R2-D2. And R2-D2 is another one of those characters where you may recognize this design, especially with these wild arms sticking off his head. They reused his proportions and the arms sticking off for Chopper from Star Wars Rebels, I believe, as well as that little dish on the top. Yeah, it's so cool to see this R2-D2 where he's all silver and he's got these arms. He also has arms in the front, if I can get these out. Yeah, he's got these arms in the front too, which was also an element of the character that was used in later media. That's really cool. His articulation's pretty basic. You can just move his head, move his legs, his feet, basically it. I don't think you can... Oh, you can take out the middle foot, it looks like. Or at least extend it. Guess you can extend it for whatever reason, or does it come out? Almost feels like it should come out, but it just like extended for whatever reason. Maybe you can just extend it. I don't know. But yeah, I really love this one. Come on, look at that. You can tell it's R2, but it looks so much different from what we would expect. There goes Starkiller Hero! Ah! And last, and probably least for some, because, I mean, come on, it's a Rebel Trooper. It is the Rebel Fleet Trooper. This design has always been very interesting to me, and I actually really like it personally. I love the white armor. It does kind of look a lot like a Stormtrooper, but also it doesn't. I love the helmet design. I think the helmet looks super cool. Like, especially if it would have a visor on it, I think it would look really nice. It almost looks like a jousting helmet. But without the visor, it does look kind of dorky. Like, if it had a black visor, I think it'd look really, really cool. But without it, I do see why some people think this is a dorkier design. But still, I mean, thinking about the actual Rebel Fleet Troopers, they looked pretty dorky too. He just comes with a little pistol, which I still think is really nice. He does have removable armor, and the shirt basically looks the same underneath. I really like the striping on the costume as well. Again, he also has some nice text on his helmet, similar to the Snowtrooper. And, oh my gosh, Starkiller Hero! Ah! Fine, she can just die. One cool thing is that you can actually remove this helmet and see what he looks like, not only with his face, which I think is a pretty cool head sculpt, but also if it's a more traditional Rebel Fleet Trooper, you know, with just the big dorky helmet instead of like the big dorky neck brace. One cool thing about the neck brace is that it actually does have like these controls in the console, similar to what we would see with Darth Vader after he's taken off the face portion of his helmet. So if you do kind of have this on there, it does almost look like this really odd version of Darth Vader in a way. Like you can kind of see. I don't know, is he supposed to hit the buttons with his tongue? That's always confused me. Especially with Darth Vader, like, are those tongue buttons? I don't get it. But yeah, his articulation is pretty basic. He doesn't really have anything special or surprising going on. No ankles, though. But yeah, Rebel Fleet Trooper, he's a cool one. So with that has pretty much concluded our look at the 30th Anniversary Collection Ralph McQuarrie Concept Series. This was when Hasbro gave a damn. I can say that. This is when Hasbro really gave a damn, not only about the collectors, but also about the entire franchise and respecting the legacy of the franchise. These figures are absolutely stellar, and they're historic, in my opinion. I'm forever grateful to Evan for gifting me these. I was planning on tracking them down eventually, but they're not the cheapest things to get, and I was just like, man, if I start getting one, I will just plummet into getting the rest immediately because I'm impatient. But thankfully, he hooked me up with all of these, actually. I'm pretty sure he gave me all of these. So, special thanks to Evan, as well as Last Laugh for requesting this video. I'm very happy I finally took the time to talk about these in a video. Like I said, there are other Ralph McQuarrie figures that have been produced. There are others that were like in the Power of the Force line, in the Rebels line. There's tons of figures that have been made. There's prequel concept figures. The only one I have is General Grievous. I have also done a video reviewing him. So I reviewed General Grievous. I believe there's also concept figures for like Coyote Mundi and Anakin Skywalker. I love the Anakin one, but it's so hard to get. You know, those are great. Those are awesome. But honestly, going back to Star Wars concepts before Star Wars was even a thing in the public eye is amazing to me. Just knowing that, like, this wasn't just people, you know, like, oh yeah, let's make Chewbacca. Like, no, let's make Chewbacca. Let us make him from the ground up. This character, what does he look like? How big is he? You know, all these characters, like Darth Vader, he was a dark invader. So let's give him, you know, dark colors, and he'll have a helmet so he can breathe in space. It's crazy how all these concepts and all of these ideas formed the characters we know now. Boba Fett, he was supposed to be an Imperial Super Commando, but they decided, no, let's make him green and red and make him a bounty hunter. That's so cool. It's amazing. I absolutely love not only the designs, but the story behind the designs, the reasoning behind the characters, the whole idea of the concepts of Star Wars is one of my favorite aspects of the entire franchise. And I am so lucky and awesome to not only have this collection, but have a fan base that is willing to give it to me. So again, special thanks to Evan. Absolute legend. thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this video as well as Last Laugh. Hope you also enjoyed this video too. I had a lot of fun making it. It was a long one, but it was a good one. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. Special shout out to the patrons of Patreon, such as Last Laugh, for supporting the channel and helping me out. If you want to make, if you want to be a clone commander, you can make suggestions for videos, and I will do what I can to do them. I try my best to make sure that they are possible. There are some, like I had someone say, hey, can you do this one? But I'm like, it's not even out yet, but as soon as it's out, I'll do it. Alrighty, I will make sure that I get all you guys covered. I feel the need to give back, because I mean, looking at all this, someone gave me all this. Oh my goodness. I hope for now at least, I hope that this video was enough giving back. I hope that it's not enough, honestly. I hope it was enough for today, but it wasn't enough. I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to keep making videos. I'm going to keep, entertaining you guys and doing what I can do for you. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.